Hello and welcome to Wheloon Docks at Dawn for our level 27 episode of Purple Does Potions. We've been through Giant Hold reasonably nicely, done a couple of quests in the Three Barrel Cove. Sadly we couldn't manage to find a Gibber's Blade for one of the bear party, but as the saying goes, there's always next time. So, what do we have new at level 27? Well, for a start, I am more than 100,000 plat poorer because I just read one of the comments in the feedback thing, and one of you suggested why not use one of these Savant stone toggles, which you can use if you're wearing an orb in the offhand. And I was thinking, well, I've never used an orb. And then I thought, well, actually this book we're using classes as an orb, so from 20 or 18 we could have used the stone, and they are actually quite nice. Some of them, like this one that we're using now from the Bombard tree, scales up with your Alchemist level. So to start with, not really too interesting, but later on, especially this one, +1 MRR and MRR cap per Alchemist level, so that's 20 from level 20. And as we are restricted to wearing robes only, technically our MRR should be capped at 50. It's actually capped at 60 because of the esoteric set bonus we're wearing, which among other things gives a 10 bonus on the MRR cap. It was sitting at 53 when I acquired this. You've got to toggle it on, by the way, on your hotbar, which I've done. And now you can see 73, so it's actually higher than the PRR, which is quite rare. So that's not bad at all. So big thanks to Klitsch for mentioning that. I should have noticed it. Just in the interests of completeness, let's go and show you the other possibilities. That's one from the Alchemist, so that's more towards melee or ranged. And then we've got the one from the Apothecary is quite nice, but doesn't scale as far as I know. No. So this one would be a good one to take at lower levels. +10 healing and 20 positive spell power. And it's telling you there you can only have one stone toggle active at a time. So I think that, well, for us at least, the one that we're in, this MRR toggle, 20 MRR just for 2 action points is awesome. So I think that one is a damn good one to go for anyway, even if we weren't kind of forced into it by only being invested in that tree. Otherwise, level 27 feat I took in Bolden. I've been muttering on about the spell DCs not being high enough, so I've thrown it on all the spells we've got. It was notably for the 2 crowd control ones we're using, Greater Colour Spray and Flash Freeze. The freeze is up to, oh sorry, and the frog as well, because the frog's on a transmutation as well. The freeze is up to 69, I think, in Reaper, which is not too bad for later epic. Not amazing, but enough that not too much is saving against it. So happy with that. We're noticing a little bit more on the colour spray side as well, a few less fails from enemy Reapers, which is nice. Of course it helps that I'm playing at Reaper 2 when playing alone and not 4, which would give them extra saves. Is it 1.5 points per Reaper level in saves they get or something? I can't quite remember, but I know the saves are bumped up, so the higher up you go, the more there's going to be an emphasis on maximising your DCs. To that end, if this wasn't just a one and done life, if I was gearing for like several lives in the same build, there are some things we could do to boost up our chances. For a start, a lot of the gear is still heroic. We could totally have a 10 plus intelligence on gear now instead of the what do we actually have? There's a question. Do we even have 8? I'm not sure we even have 8, do we? There's insightful 2 there. My word, I hope we at least have 8 somewhere. Dodge 9. Intelligence 8 in the scepter there. Okay, so we do at least have that. So we could have 10 intelligence at least by this level, probably more, which would be at least 1 if not 2 more DC. We could have insightful 4, maybe even 5 by now, which would be another 1 or 2 DC. We could have a festive diamond of intelligence, which come from the special events like the night revels or the winter events. I forget which festive ones come from which, but they're all stats are covered, I think. So we could have another DC there. They are minimum level 22. We could have slotted, like here I've covered in previous episode, the Topaz of Evocation and the Topaz of Conjuration, which give a straight +1 to DCs of those schools. We could have slotted the greater versions from 24, also available from the vendors in Giant Hold. That would have been another DC. I think that's probably about it for the things I had noted down. We could have had in the goggles, if we had like one clear main school that we were interested in, Conjuration I suppose for this one, we could have had goggles of Conjuration 4 and Insightful Conjuration 2 from early 20s I think, so that would have boosted us up quite a bit. Although here on the orb we do have Conjuration 4 anyway, so in our case it wouldn't have helped that. And there on the Gem of Many Facets we've crafted Spell Focus Mastery 3, so that's a 3 bonus to all schools. Doesn't stack with bonuses to any specific school, so where we've got Evocation 4 and Conjuration 4, that will supersede the 3 here. So that 3 will help the likes of Transmutation, which is our crowd control-y stuff, like the Flash Freeze, which has nothing helping it on the rest of the gear. If I was going to to stay at the cap with this build, Ruins would totally have been an option. Ruin at level 27 and Greater Ruin at 30. Because we're not doing that, I felt completely justified in going for Embolden, as we're just using it to level. I think we'll get a lot more mileage out of that. What else have we got noted here? I think that might be about it. Oh yeah, I think I've touched on it in a previous recording. As lovely as the frog is for one-shotting dangerous opponents, you then have the little creature on the floor which can and does get targeted by future spells if you're not tab targeting. And I've had on occasion times where I've tried to frog another opponent and ended up frogging a frog that was sort of running around on the floor ribbiting in front of me. So just be a little bit aware of that. And the other thing I was going to mention, in the low Reapers, I know it's a bit more clunky. You can't just press the key and have the heal go off on you like we can with the Cocoon. But the healing bottle, when we cast it on ourselves, we've got it with metas on. I think the metas are a bit bugged from what I've read in the past in the wiki on this spell. But even so, we've got evergreen, so we can afford to throw them on there, even if they're not doing the effect they should be. And if we target ourselves, that's in non-Reaper, of course. So that's a full heal every time if you're doing elite or under. But even in Reaper, in low Reapers, Reaper 1, Reaper 2, that's gonna, with our low level of hit points, it's gonna heal us up to max more often than not, I think. So it just takes a little time, as you can see, to wind up. But if you're playing on elite or less, that is a one-click healer every time. So that's nice to have. And if you have a group of you playing, that's a one-click heal probably for everybody. So even nicer. Right, which one are we going to go for today? Something we can get to quickly. I've done all these in Heroic already, so we've got access to them all. Let's do the one through the Harvest Hall.
We're going where? To do what?
As it's quick access, I'm not too bothered about losing horribly. So let's no, let's not be too crazy. I'll leave it on 2 because we're at 27. The quest level's going to be 28 now. Let's see how we go on with this. So as you can see in Reaper, 69 for the freeze and the frog, which is not bad at all. So I think that embolden was the right way to go for what we're trying to do. Had I been going to stay at the cap with this and pushing for some half decent gear with it, I would definitely have considered the ruins on the draconic side. Another thing which I haven't mentioned about the ruins, you really need to be taking the ruin intensified in draconic tier 5 to make those worthwhile, to give it an extra oomph in terms of the damage dealt. Without that, they are a bit toothless for the investment you need to make to get them.
A lone dog mourns its fallen master. Its piercing
Let's see if we can get ourselves into the right orange state. Let's try and spike orange when we go in here. I'm going to use the flash freeze to try to spike orange. I've got a Reaper in there, not held, but the spells did well enough anyway. You can see the boss is taking some nice extra damage there. Now I don't know if the Reaper was not held because it made it save or because it was not properly targeted by me. Both are equally possible. Now that was one elemental combination, so that's hitting quite hard too, as well as the multi-vials. And as covered in previous ones, anything that is frozen, i.e. helpless, is getting really smashed up. There is a case for saying we could just go from distance and risk less with our opening attack, but as I've invested so much into the extra helpless damage, I'm trying to make the most use of that. Oh, what are you doing in there? Let's try and get them all here. Again, that was one elemental combination. I should spike orange again here. Nice.
Protecting us, says the camp's elder. Take this crest in gratitude. The snake crest on the ground may be of use in reaching Harvest Hall. sick and injured have been gathered. Loud
Potions of
splashes
greater erosion from the portable hull, just to boost up acid spell power a little bit. Not exactly doing an amazing job at clearing this lot out. And this one's still... I don't think... Oh, it's dead now. I was going to say I don't think frozen things count as dead for the purposes of objectives. Now this, if you didn't know, you can totally just run through here if you're on your own, not trigger any of the traps, and just go out the other end without having to deal with the ambush. If we had somebody behind us, I'm pretty sure that gate would close on them and they'd be stuck in there then, so it only really works when you're soloing it.
The bat crest on the ground may be of use in reaching Harvest Hall. Shouts come from both ends of the camp. It's a two-pronged assault. More criminals drop down right in the middle of the camp. As the gate defenders fall, the criminals force the gates open.
Trying to use the shard storm as much as I possibly can to give us that layer of extra defense. Colour spray for the Reaper, which missed hopelessly. Happily for us, there are other targets in here. One shot heal from the... Oh my god, this is bad. That's not going to work, is it? No, okay. That was the plague, so obviously I couldn't heal myself, but we did get a very nice heal from the cure heal there. Is that going to be... Is that going to be end of game? Now, one thing to mention here, as happened here, as I was so terrible in defending the people here, the criminals just tear down the barricade themselves, and you can just pick up the crest that's left here. I think the crest is there, and just go on your way towards the end. Is there a shrine we could jib us back to? I think there is. If I go back this way, we might just be able to salvage something out of this. But it's illustration where it needed, that you do need to jump around to not be hammered, and also if you do get hammered you don't last very long. And I suppose on another note, my seemingly preferred tactic of jumping in the middle and doing the flash freeze is very nice as far as it goes, but you are leaving yourself very vulnerable. The biggest thing with me is not doing the jumpy thing and just getting absolutely mauled by... I mean, one thing we don't have here is any form of deflect missiles, and you could hear the plink, plink, plink absolutely shredding us in there. So they brutalised us embarrassingly easily there, didn't they, really? And it would help if I went to the right shrine. Okay, let's... do we actually need... I suppose we could get rid of the death levels, couldn't we?
Now's a good time to take a breather.
So we do have rather a large group of things, and I think there's a couple of Reapers there as well, unless they're the two that jumped up in here. Okay. could just do the boosts here, couldn't we? I could try and go with the strategy suggested and do from distance, which didn't do badly, did it? But I would have loved to go into the middle of them and freeze the buggers. But yeah, there is some justification there, isn't there, to suggest that I shouldn't be in the middle of the things all the time if I can avoid it. Oh God, Fear Reaper. I should have just taken the crest and beggared off. It's going to happen again here, isn't it? Can't survive. Oh my dear. Try and get out of the firing line and just heal a little bit. Who's doing all that damage? There are 2 crests out there to pick up because I... crikey, look at the damage. Okay. Let's see if we can... We're in orange, aren't we? We should be able to make short work of this one. 1 versus 1. Right. Yeah, so there are 2 crests. That was the one that they dropped. And where's the one I dropped when I died? Round on the other side, I think, there. Okay. So I think it's fair to say we've been absolutely slaughtered in here, isn't it? This character would have been awesome as part of a group with attention focused on a tankier character, but when it's coming back our way, again it's mainly the problem between the keyboard and the chair, meaning I'm just pathetic at dodging stuff. Can't be letting those red crowns to roam around like that. He still isn't held, is he? Okay. Now there seems to be a new mechanic for this end fight. The boss gets a shield now when her minions are up. So you've got to... have we lost our gold skin again? I think we have. All this punishment we've been taking. You've got to kill the minions to make the boss vulnerable, as opposed to just hammering on the boss as we could have done in the past. Let's get the Hood of Unrest up. As you see, now there's a shield, we've got to go for these things. I think the shield is dropped now. Let's keep at it. Must remember to hit the Shard Storm as soon as that's off cooldown. More defense. See, again the shield is up as long as we have other opponents in the area. I think we saved best till last there. So yeah, if you're not familiar with this content, do be careful, as you've seen in those 2 big areas with all the missile fire. Take cover, as I singularly failed to do. I mean, if you're in here, things like these pillars can totally be used to take cover if you're taking a hammering from ranged characters. I basically died because I deserved to, not because of any shortcomings in the build.
You are welcome to use Harvest Hall as a place to
That said, I think we've seen the strong side to it too. The really decent crowd control. The damage is holding up well. The Embolden I certainly think was a good choice to boost up our both damage, because you've got to get past their reflex saves. I mean, that's in the mid-70s now, the highest. In fact, all our offensive because they are all heightened. All our offensive things, the ones that give a save, are in the mid 70s, so that's pretty good for this level, I think. So despite that being an embarrassingly bad failure, I think we've shown enough there to be cautiously optimistic going forward. I think the build's in a decent place. Most, if not all, of these quests in Wheloon end up with pitched battles of some sort, so I'm going to need to get better at that kind of thing if we're going to survive and not have bloody disasters like we just saw there. Okay, moaning over. That's it, I think, for this one. Thank you very much as always for looking, and I shall speak to you in the next one. Take care.